Okay, so good morning everyone. Welcome to our discussion on practical research. Today, I am going to discuss referencing. So referencing, nato nga discussion is quite long, no? We have 68 slides, so we will try our best to cut this into two discussions. At the same time, I will be having a pre-recorded lecture video so that next week, no, there will be days that I will not have my lecture due to I will be preparing for my final defense. That is why most probably I will just going to have a pre-recorded lecture ready so that in my absence you can still watch my lecture. Okay? So referencing is also part of our literature review class. Every time that we conduct a literature review, we got our references from the internet because we are going to have a compilation of the research work and academic journals from other researchers. In our review of related literature, we are going to cite them. Not only that, we also use references from other authors when we write our introduction. It is really important, class, to have sources from other researchers. It is because to further support your research. And not only it is enough lang nga kanang sana nakoy ka ng mga compilation of review-related literature, okay na siya. But we still also need to conduct referencing as well. Every time that we conduct literature review, we have to also reference or cite our sources for the readers to identify which of these are your own ideas and which is from other researchers. Not only that, we need to also reference class because as a way to respect the copyrights of other researchers and to also respect their intellectual property because that is not your own ideas because you are just borrowing ideas from other researchers to further support your research. Para sa gunagong mag-debate ka class, di ba? Kung mag-debate ka, dili man bugat ang imuhang argument if wala kay sources nga mo support sa imong argument. The more research that you conducted and the more sources that you will cite, the more credible and the more reliable ang imuhang argument. Same ra po na sa research, no? The more nga daghan kag supporting nga mga references or sources, the more nga thoroughly researched ang imuhang study. So I'll now share my screen with you. So this morning, I will be getting some presentations from David Rowland, Mandy Simons, Catherine Samuel Lowigs, Leslie Chase, Renata Walker, and Marian Butler. So, since 68 slides man ni siya tanan class, some of these are not from my own definitions. Nagkuha po ko sa other researchers. So, I've already conducted a lot of research paper and are already experts when it comes to referencing. So, why do we need to reference? Diba, I already gave a description or definition or hatag na kung ano importante nga mag-reference ta, but to put it simply, at the same time, to summarize, or to add more details to my definition and why we need to reference, here are some examples. So we reference because you will also benefit from it, to show off. First is, if makita nila sila yung imong reference list class, kadaghan kaayo kag mga sources nga gipang cite, so it means nga you have done thorough research, you have done thorough reading. Daghan na kag nabasahan nga research paper because daghan kag na-include nga sources sa imong paper. So that's impressive because not only nga daghan kag nabasahan but at the same time seryoso kay ka sa pag-conduct sa imong research paper. Next, to add authority to your argument. So again, to further support or to add credibility sa imong argument, we need to have references to support that. Next, to add credibility to your information, same sa to add authority to your argument. The more nga daghan kag references or sources nga gi-cite or gi-reference, meaning mas credible siya because you're not only relying on your own ideas and perspective, but you also got some ideas from researchers nga nakakonduct ng research paper before you. So it will also benefit the reader because the reader will understand the context of your work. Because, of course, class, they will understand nga, this is what he meant about math anxiety. Because I am studying about math anxiety and how it affects academic performance, and medyo kulang pa kaayo ang mga gipang mention diri ni author or ni researcher. So nagkuha siya mga citation sa ubang researcher to further clarify what is really math anxiety. Because kuan class no, honestly kita as researchers kulang pa kaayo ang ato ang perceptions, kulang pa kaayo tong understanding sa tong research topic. So first na ko no, when I first started doing my research paper on the potential of San Carlos City as a meetings or conventions destination, I only have a very few understanding about it. Tugang hapaw pa kaayo kung pagsabot ana nga topic. So I need the help of other researchers to help clarify no that topic or to help support no unsa ni siya nga topic all about no. So with my ideas and perception about my research topic paired with the perceptions and also with the findings of other researchers, mas klaro na noon ang ako ang research paper. So, para sa gunagong mag-debate mo about what are the effects of online distance learning, negative ba or positive ang effects sa online distance learning in the time of pandemic, and then kuan ka nang mag-debate abi mo sa inyong classmates no nya naa ka sa positive side nya uban na sa negative side nya ang pagsabot ana nga topic gamay ra because wala pa ka conduct or research about it no, or wala pa ka conduct further reading. So dili nimo ma-further clarify or further kanang present your argument clearly because gamay ra man yung pagsabot ana. But with the help of research no and other sources nga mo support no sa imong argument, the more nga daghan kag ma-explain, the more maklaro siya sa readers. No, so next, to allow your reader to track down your research. So the importance pod of referencing classes, di ba? We get our sources from Google Scholar, no, and we include that in our review of related literature. Now, when you cite these, let's say, nagkuha ka og study from Burkhardt and Medlick. I also took study from John Smith. Nagkuha po ko og study kay Mary Grace o may ana binodaghan kog researchers nga gipangkuhaan og mga ideas and perceptions nga related sa akong topic. For example, I'm studying math anxiety, no, and how it affects academic performance of the grade 12 students. So I'll be getting the findings no or mga research work from other researchers to further support my paper. Unya, kabalo man ko nga morning mga researchers ako ang gipangkuha, pero ang reader wala sila kabalo asa na ko nagikuha ka ng mga sources because class no, the information cycle continuous na siya. Once na magkonduct ka og research paper class, unya kanang to put it simply na lang no kay medyo complex ka siya pag-explain. Mag-conduct kag research paper class, di ba, na kay mga other researchers nga include si mong RRL. Kabalo man kaasa na nimo na sila gipangkuha. Pero katong mga future researchers ato ibutang grade 12 mo, pag graduate ninyo ang katong incoming nga grade 12 katong grade 11 karon manog grade 12 na sila na pud ang mag-thesis class. Unya, mo base sila sa inyong thesis para makatabang sa ilaha pud nga thesis. Pagbasa nila, oh, asa man gikuha ni nga mga sources kanang wala asa na ko ni siya pwede matrace kay wala man siya reference list. Unya usa pa sad ginahanta ni nako kwaon ni ang iyahang sources ay pero wala ko kabalo asa niya dapit ni gikuha sa Google Scholar. Kay wala man siya nagbutang og reference, no? Wala man siya nagbutang direct name sa author, wala man siya nagbutang og link, wala man siya nagbutang og title sa article kung asa niya gikuha. So lisod kay i-trace ako ang part as the future researcher. So, do you get my point? No? Siguro you will not appreciate it now because wala man mo gaagto sa school library and wala pod mo galantaw pod sa uban nga thesis work sa nang graduate na nga grade 12. Pero mabot mo na sa stage class nga wherein you're going to conduct a literature review, magto mo sa library, mulantaw mo sa mga thesis sa grade 12 para naamoy idea. Unya, inyo man ang i-trace, kinsa ni nga researcher ilahang gikuan ani nga source silang RRL? Ay, kani si Burkhardt and Medlick. Unsa man ang title ani nga article kay kuang i-search sa Google Scholar. O riba dali na lang kayo i-trace sa part ninyo as the future researcher. Okay, so mao na siya class, no? Unlike sa unsa man, unlike sa kung magkuan na ta, dili man ni parehas class nga maghimo ra kag assignment nga o research on mao ni siya define what is uh, biochemistry o mga yung ana abi niya dili ka mag-cite sa imong mga references, okay ra, no? Kung may uban nga mga teacher, di mangayo og reference. Pero every time that we make an academic paper, and some of that are not your own ideas, you're just going to get it from the internet or from Google Scholar, you have to provide references no, or citations for the reader to easily track where did you get your sources. No, kay importante ka na class, no? Kay sila mo gamit man pud sila sa information nimo. Again, as what I have mentioned earlier, the information cycle is continuous, no? Dili lang ikaw mukuhag information from other researchers. Also, future researchers will be getting information from you. So, it is already a privilege, or let's say, kuha na po na siya, no? Marara po siya og kanang nindot siya on your part ba nga, hala, nagamit siya ay ang ako ang research sa uban. So, dapat hanayon ako siya para sayon na pud on their part, no? So, I know you cannot fully appreciate what I'm talking about because wala mo kakita unsang itsura sa reference list. Actually, all books have has bibliography or parehas og itsura sa reference list. Okay, so I'll be showing you an example of a reference list from my paper. Scroll down. Okay, this is an example of a reference list class. No, pair up ni sila with citation. Ari ko sa babaw ha. Sa akong introduction class, wala ko gagamit og kanang own words lang nako. In my introduction, I made use of my own words and also um, ideas from other researchers because first of all, when I'm going to write about my tourism, no, meetings, incentives, conventions, exhibitions, kung pasulaton ako based akong kaugalingon nga ideas, nubo ra kaayo akong masulat. Kay wala jud ko kabalo unsa na siya. I need to conduct further research to know what my topic is. So I got ideas from other researchers. Like for example, we have Jamgade. Now Jamgade also helped me clarify what is MICE tourism or meetings, incentives, conventions, and exhibitions tourism. So some of these words are from the researcher Jamgade, and he published this paper in 2018. So for the readers to identify that this is not my own words, but the words of Jamgade, I provided a citation at the end of the paragraph, which is Jamgade, the name of last name of the author, comma, and then the year published, which is 2018. Then this is the citation. Ang citation gani class in text na siya nga referencing or in text na siya nga pag-cite sa source. So meaning makabalo na si pagbasa ani ni reader or ni panel, kani nga paragraph dili ni siya from the own words of the researcher. This is from other researchers. Like for example, when I provided um, a global perception on mice tourism, I got some ideas from the researchers Khan and Terziev. So, nagbutang kog citation by the end of the at the end of the paragraph nga Khan and Terziev, which is the last name of the two authors of ani nga research paper, and then the year published. Now, kaning names si Jamgadi and Terziev class, although na-cite na nako siya in text, no? In the text jud siya class, pero nag-provide pug ko og reference list no para doble ang ako ang referencing nila. So, 'di ba nagsulat akong gibutang ang name sa mga authors no sa text nga wherein sila ang gahatag ani nga idea or sila gasulat ani. So sa reference list ako po nang gi-reflect po dito. So doble, dapat doble yung class. Every time that you will have to conduct a literature review in Google Scholar, sulaton rin nimo tanan nga details no sa researcher such as the name of the article. If it belongs to an academic journal, you also write the name of the journal, the last name, and the initials of the author. Kay mo arrange kita sa APA formats referencing class. It's only the last name of the author provided by followed by the initials nila, which is ang first name and middle initial. Okay, and then the year published, no, and the link. Kay some of you will be getting your references online. No, due to the pandemic, that you will not be able to go to the library and read books, no, or academic journals nga naa sa library class. So, pwede ra ta kaagto sa Google Scholar. Ngano Google Scholar og dili Wikipedia? Wikipedia is not a reliable source of information because pwede ra siya ma-edit, no? Walay author. Although kanang makuan ta ma-confuse ta usahay kay makita nimo dito na naman siya reference list ma'am, so legit siguro sa naman siya reference list. O nagbutang siya reference list kay yamang ibutang asa to niya mga sources gipangkuha no to write the article in Wikipedia, pero it can be edited anytime. King ikaw pwede to nimo ma-edit, no, and wala pod siya date published. Okay, so kaya wala po siya na peer-reviewed class. Only peer-reviewed information are reliable sources of information. So, sa academic papers, such as a research paper, the most reliable source could be from academia, and Scrib is also a reliable source of information, but there is a subscription. Academia has a subscription as well, but there are some journals or articles that are free. Ituluan na po mo sa Sci-Hub, meaning, di ba katong, pwede ta ka-hack, for example, sa Google Scholar, ma'am, dili ko ka-access, ma'am, kay naa siya'y bayad. O copy ra ang link, i-paste sa Sci-Hub, pwede nimo ma-hack ang kuan. Basta, kung dili na siya mo violate sa copyright laws, di ba, muna yung mga pangutanan nila no nga, gikuha naman na to, ma'am, without paying. Are we violating the copyright laws or nakakommit na ba tag copyright infringement? As long as you cite and you provide the name of the authors, give him credit when you list him in the reference, you are not committing copyright infringement. Unya ra jud na siya class matawag og plagiarism and copyright infringement if wala nimo siya gi-cite sa imong reference list and sa imong citation, unya imuhang giangkon as if imuha ng kaugalingon nga idea. Okay? So this is an example of reference list. If you could remember, di ba, sa ako ang introduction, I provide a citation ni Jam Gade nga wherein kanang ning kuha kog ideas what is Meisterism kay tungod. If I were to define what is Meisterism on my own without the help of other researchers, kulang ra. No, dili kay ko ka-define fully kay gamay ra kong understanding ana nga topic. I need the help of other researchers. So, since ning gamit man ko sa mga sa ubang mga ideas ni Jam Gade to include in my introduction, ako siyang gi-cite dito, di ba, na iyang last name and then followed by the year published. Ibutang po na ko siya sa reference list. This is an example of a reference list class. This may look like a bibliography, kana makita nimo sa libro no kanang last part nga na mga names sa author, but a bibliography is different from a reference list. A bibliography class is also a collection of sources, but there are some sources class nga wala siya nimo kanang na-cite or nasulat jud nimo word by word jud no or word for word jud sa article or sa book, pero nagkuha kag idea from that author. Hatag ko example, nagbasa abi ko sa research ni Koan kinsa man to ako ang gigamit sa theoretical framework ni Music. Ning kuan abi ko ning basa ko sa research ni Music nga about koan man tourism development theory. So nagbasa ko ato unya wala dyan ako gi-copy paste ang katong words nga naa sa book or sa research ni Music, pero nana ko'y idea nga mao ni yang pasabot sa tourism development theory ay din ako siyang isulat sa libro. So wala na ko siya gi-copy word for word, ning retain na sa akong mind on sa what he meant about tourism development theory, and then ako siyang gisulat pod sa ako ang book. So mo na ang bibliography. Other books have that no nga wala jud sila ning kuha jud nga word for word from the article or from the book, pero gi-cite or gibutan siya pon siya sa bibliography kay tungod ning hatag siya credit nga you gave me an idea no because of what you have written, nya nabasahan nako siya, gitagaan ko nimog idea on how to write also the article or the book. So mo na ang sa bibliography, pero ang sa reference list class word for word man na siya nimo gi-copy, dayon imo po na siyang i-cite pod sa reference list. Now, in your research paper class, asa naman dira ma'am ang kuan nato og sources from other researchers? It's only the RRL, the theoretical framework, and the introduction nga gikan sa other researchers. The rest of the parts in your research paper, ikaw na magsulat ana. Di na pwedeng mo kopya ka sa internet, no? So kana rang tulo kay nga naman provide naman siya support literature, support ra siya nga information to help you, no, sa imuha nga research paper. So, since na-mention naman ako to si Jam Gadin no, gigamit na ko iyahang kon so gibutang na ko siya diripot. Dili lang to enough class nga, gisite na ko siya sa akong introduction ma'am or sa RRL, okay na to siya. Ibutang po nimo sa imong reference list. So, nara, si Jam Gade, o, di ba na, siya sa akong introduction, na-upload siya diri sa reference list. So, Jam Gade, last name niya, yung initial S, then year published, title of the article, title of the academic journal, and retrieve from asa nga link. Every time nga magkuha kag information from online, kuha jud ta sa link class, ilista jud ni mo. If you're using Sci-Hub to gain access from articles kadi nimo ma-open sa Google Scholar, the reference is already arranged in APA format. What do you mean by APA format? APA stands for American Psychological Association. So, APA format nga referencing kaning mag-una jud ang last name sa author, year published, name of the article, name of the journal, and the link. Mo na siya ang APA format class. Daghan man tag klase natay MLA, natay Chicago nga format, pero sa research paper, ang common dyan nga ginagamit namo is APA. So, naghanan na siya edition, no, na ay 6th edition, 7th edition. So, kani siya mag 6th edition paguro ni siya. No, kay ga-evolve man ang ato ang formatting sa referencing. So, we will just be applying the APA format because it's easier. Dali naman kay siya, kay most academic journals have complete information naman. So, mo follow lang po ta sa universal standards. Okay, so why do we have to be very kuan class no kanang ano kuan man kaayo ta ma'am kanang mo follow mo dito sa process and format. It is because no, in research no dili na pwede class ka kung sa to ang gusto mo na siya no, especially nga in Asia no, nata sa lowest when it comes to research kay not everyone can appreciate doing a research paper no, naapsa na kita sa ubang country. Sa una kita pa ang kanang nasa babaw no, babaw pa ta karon nata sa ubos. Ito CHED is mandating universities and colleges to have not only strict nga format sa research paper but also to really integrate research no sa every courses. At the same time tudlo na siya sa mga bata as early as senior high. So you are actually, although it's difficult and it's really tedious, but you are fortunate because you are taught at an early age. No, during my time, tuluan mi og kanang sa ni investigatory project, napon may thesis sa college pero dili man ni anak kakuan. Dili nga naka stricto no nya kanang murag sige mo na siya no nya. Wala jud kayo kay kuan ba no, wala jud kay kanang dili kay robust imong paper. At the same time dili pud siya ing anak ka very comprehensive no, lahi na karon nga we are really mandated to follow no, to adhere to standards jud. Okay, so going back, napata sa slide 2 niya, 68 slides. Kapit na mag alas 11. Okay. So going back, no, so not only that you will benefit, but your reader will also benefit when you do referencing. And at the same time, we need to reference for ethical reasons, no? Mo adhere jud og ethics class no when we conduct a research paper. Di siya na pwede mapataka atag kopya-kopya class kay tungod kapoy man ay kopyahon lang ako ni tanan. No, you need to cite, you need to reference because that is not your own ideas. You are just borrowing ideas from someone else, no? If you are not citing or referencing properly, then you will commit copyright infringement, plagiarism, no? So, intellectual integrity, you have to respect no the ideas of someone else because they work hard for it, no? And kakuha naman po sa uban, ga-reference ang po sila. So, kung sila gani nga experts na in their field, no? Maka-referencing man gani sila, how much more kita nga gasugod pa lang ta og himo og paper. Okay? So, how would you feel, class, no, nga if naghimo ka sa imong research paper o nya kikuha sa imong classmate niya, wala ka niya gitag credit, no, wala siya nag-reference, wala siya nag-cite sa imuhang work, nya gatuang uban nga siya ang gahimo ato. So, what would you feel? No, you would feel offended. So, for ethical reasons, we need to cite and provide references to our sources because to also respect, not just to inform our readers nga mao ni siyang akong ideas, mao ni iyang ideas, nya gibaro ra nako, but also to give respect to the researcher nga imong gihulman og ideas. So, to distinguish between your ideas and someone else's ideas and to respect intellectual property. Nanatay kuan ha sa MIL if natudlo na sa inyo ha na anay balaod pod nga mo protect sa intellectual property of others. It may be not only in making a research paper class like an academic paper, even when making lyrics sa songs, no? Composing your own kanang mga kanta or maghimo kag poem or story or even kuan gani class no kanang mag-invent ka or maghimo kag kanang ikaw ang nag-originate ana nga ingredient or ano not ingredient ka lang recipe nya gikuha sa uban ilang giangkon nga ilahan na pwede jud na siya makasuhan basta mo file lang ka og certification pod kay class ang imong copyrights ga-exist naman na siya in the beginning nga nag-create ka ana nga literary or artistic work. For example, nag-compose ka og kanta or nagsulat kag academic paper. Pag sulat nimo dana nag-exist na ang copyrights ana niya. So, you have the right no to claim that as your own because that is your own work. Pero for legal reasons lang, dapat ta mo file og certification to prove nga ato ana. Kay pag abot niya sa korte class mo naman na sila nga, oh how are you sure nga ikaw dyan na nakaunag invent ani or ikaw nakauna og himo ani? Unsa man imong pruweba? Nya kung moingon na ka word of mouth lang nga, ako nakahimo ana kay morning at date ako na siya gihimo ay. So dili na siya kanang concrete jud nga proof. Mas maayo na jud tay certification. But even if in the absence of the certificate class, pag-create pala ni mo daan ng literary or artistic work, that is already yours. You have the rights to claim it. Okay? So, kanang mga plano mo kopya, palihog ta, dili ta magpataka og kopya without citing your references. You're allowed to get your sources from the internet man because we need the help of other researchers. But it is very limited and you have to always cite and reference. Person ning iro hilak siya kay gikuha sa dako nga iro ang iyahang bola. No, so mao ni mark mo feel nimo kung kaon ang imong own ideas from you without asking permission or if kung wala siya kapananghid pero kung naka-cite siya, oh, that's okay man. No, respect mo na siya og intellectual property nimo. Pero kanang mukuha og imong ideas niya, dili ka taga-credit, no? Di na siya pwede. Because it can exist everywhere, not just in thesis class, no? Daghan kaayo, no? I have been a victim of that many times pod nga. That is my work, o nya, kiklaim nila, nya sila ang gitagaag praise, no? So, pait pod because nag-burn naman ka sa midnight candle, nagpulaw ka paraan na, o nya, lahi ang makakuha sa credit. Okay? So, how do we do referencing in your essay or in-text referencing? Okay, what should be reference? So, mamili po ta class unsa ang dapat ato tagag reference or dili tanan nga gikopya nato pod kanalan og citation. Most especially if it's common knowledge. Like for example, we all know na Magellan arrived in the Philippines in 1521 or for example, we all know that the sky is blue already. Even if gikuha mo na sa internet that the sky is blue, but we already know that the sky is blue. So, you don't need to do referencing. Not unless if it's a research paper. So, what should be reference? Ideas, information, results, opinions from any source that you have summarized, paraphrased, or directly quoted. Like for example, your definition of terms. No? Class, we have two types of definition of terms no, in your research paper. You have the conceptual and the operational definition of terms. When we talk about operational class, it means how is the study or how are the variables used in the study. Like for example, ang mga definition of terms are words nga used repetitively in your study. Like, ang per me na ma-encounter nila, ma'am, kung mobasa sila sa ako ang paper kay, per me sila maka-encounter sa word nga math anxiety or academic performance because my study is all about math anxiety and academic performance. So, I will be including those words in my definition of terms. Now, since I have requested an operational definition, how will you define math anxiety and how based on how it was used in the study. For example, math anxiety refers to kanang the condition nga ma-feel sa mga estudyante sa CSR or grade 12 students of CSR every time that they will make activities related to math o mo na siya no kanang very specific nga definition no nga basta mo lang ibutang ang operational definition of terms is How is the study, or how are the variables used in the study? How will I define math anxiety based on how it was used in my study? Kung moingon tag conceptual class, how will you define math anxiety in general? Meaning, dira ta mo consult og dictionary. Pero kung operational, no need naman kag dictionary because you are getting from your own ideas man. No? Imo naman siyang i-define based on how it was used to study, so wala man kagagamit og dictionary. So, no need na siya i-reference, no need na siya butang citation. But, if your definition of terms are a conceptual type, dili operational, and you will have to consult the dictionary because you'll be getting a general definition of your variables, then that is the time that you will have to reference your definition of terms. So, mao na siya. Okay? Sabtan ra. So, we will end at 11, but I will conduct another na po nga video. Medyo taas-taas siya kay 68 slides. Napunta sa slide 3. Sige lang. Okay, another is illustrations, tables, and figures drawn from sources. Like for example, no, kato sa ko ang study, nagkuha ko og table from DOT to represent pila ang tourist arrivals sa Negros Occidental in the year 2019. So, since ka nga table, dili man ako ang naghimuan na ano, di man ako ang nag nag-conduct og research, nagsulat kung pila ka book tourist arrival sa Negros Occidental, nagkuha ra man ko sa DOT. So kinahanglan i-reference nimo na siya. For example, sa table, limbutang ka sa ubos source from Department of Tourism Region 6. Oh. And then butang po nimo sa imong reference list. Okay, an example para mas ma-appreciate pa jud ninyo. Ay, sorry. Alay sa babaw. Para sa ng direct sources, no, or documents provided by the Department of Tourism. So, sila man nag-provide na nga document. So, i-source na ko, butan ako sila sa reference list na ko. Also, sa mga tables, para sa ani, kaning source, gikan sa DOT. Oh. Source, City Tourism Office of San Carlos City. Sa ubos na ay DOT na table. Mga tourist arrivals, no? So, i-source na siya, tanan mo og source para mabalaan sa reader nga, dili, ikaw, gahimuan lang nga table. Even mga illustrations class like figures, like for example, na ay pie graph dira, or bar graph, dili ikaw ang gahimuan na, no? Nagkuha ka og secondary data from the local government unit. So, butang pa nimo na a source. Tanan nga dili imuha butang reference. Not unless if it's common knowledge. Your ideas that are also those of an author that you have read. Para sa tong sa bibliography, di ba nga, although wala man ako gi-copy ma'am word for word ang nakasulat sa libro, pero ako lang na-remember niya, ako na pong gisulat dito. Should I reference them? Yes, no? So, mo na siya. And then, ibutan mo ang reference, ang name sa author, kung asa nimo siya ikuha ng idea sa reference list. Okay, basta to summarize, no, or to put it simply, everything, plans, ideas, illustrations, tables, information that was not um, that was not from your own ideas or that was not stimulated by you, then you have to do referencing. Okay, so when we do referencing, we respect the creation of ideas by others and the concept of intellectual property. Again, na ay balaod to protect our intellectual property. Everyone has their own intellectual property, and if you are not given due credit for that, pwede jud kaayo ta ka reklamo or kasu no sa katong ning kuha without asking permission or wala ning hatag og credit sa imuha. When we do referencing class, we acknowledge the ideas of others, but do not reference common knowledge. Like all of us know that the sky is blue. No, all of us know that kanang green ang color sa plants, no? So, no need na ta mag-reference ana, mas gikuha mo na sa internet kay nag-double check jud ka, pero kana ganing common knowledge, no? Dili na siya, even history class, no? Kana mga articles nga related to history, since majority of us already know our history naman, so pwede na ta dili ka reference og common knowledge. Kana na mga dili common knowledge ang i-reference. I'll give you an example. Okay, try to identify here what is common knowledge. Number one, as a rule of thumb, if you didn't know it before you read the research, or for example, class, you have to conduct study since pagkabasa ni mo ana, you have to conduct further study, you have to conduct further readings for you to fully understand that concept or kana siya nga idea, then it's probably not common knowledge and you need to reference it. But if not only your classmates, but if majority of the people that you know already know that thing or kanang siya nga topic, then it's probably common knowledge. Here are examples. Okay, number one. The first fleet arrived in Australia in 1788. Is this common knowledge? Okay, so if you are living in Australia, that is part of your history, then probably yes, that would be common knowledge for you. But if you are living in the Philippines, bata kabaluan ng kanusa naabot ang first fleet, no? So, that is not common knowledge. Now, common knowledge class, very kuan kay siya class no kanang broad kaayo siya. Dili man tanan common knowledge ma-apply to everyone. There are some cases class nga it's regional. Like for example, if we're going to talk about kung kano sa naabot si Magellan sa Philippines, kung niya kabalo naman taan na probably that will be common knowledge for us. But if a foreigner no conduct siya og study and then maka-encounter siya ng article nga about sa history sa Philippines which is kanang dili pa siya aware ana, then probably that is not common knowledge to him. So again, sometimes common knowledge can be regional. In some places, it could be common knowledge for them. Kay kabalo na sila ana, gitudluan na sila ana since elementary pa. Pero for others nga who are not natives or let's say residents of that area, so siguro di sila kabalo ana, so that is not common knowledge for them and they have to reference it. So nasabtan ra. Okay, next. Driver fatigue is well recognized as a cause of accidents. Is this common knowledge? Yes, no? All of us know nga, usa sa mga common reasons nga no, na ay accident is driver fatigue. No, kanang katulgo ng driver or kapoy siya mo drive. So, most probably, no, yan ang pugson og drive niya. Muna ang rason nga madisgrasya siya. So, that is common knowledge already. So, you do not need to reference it. Number 3, alkaloids are the most important biochemical components of areca-nuts. Is this common knowledge? Okay, correct. No, no. If it's for the general public, then that is not common knowledge. But for food biochemists, it will be common knowledge for them. But still, no, if you're a biochemist and you already know nga alkaloids are components of areca-nuts, but you are presenting your paper to a panel nga wala man sila idea on biochemical components, then probably need to reference it. But if you're going to present your paper and you're a biochemist and you're going to present your paper nga ang panel po nimo mga biochemist pud sila tanan, then no need na a reference. Number 4, women who enroll in postgraduate studies are at greater risk than men of late completion. Is this common knowledge? Okay, so that's correct. No, it's not common knowledge because you need to conduct further research to prove if ang mga babae ba sa postgraduate studies, katong kaskwela og pastoral and PhD, are at greater risk than of men. So, i-compare pa nimo, no, if ang laki ba or babae ang naay greater risk of late completion when it comes to postgraduate studies. Per kalabanan sa based on observation, kalabanan ang mga lalaki ang dali makahuman sa postgraduate studies, no. There are other factors po maka-affect sa babay nga no, mas late siya maka-complete no sa yung postgraduate studies. Such as personal ko mga classmate no, ay mga mabata na or magkapamilya or sometimes no kanang not only shift in career but naa pa yung mga other priorities. That is why. Okay, so how does one reference accurately? Now, always remember class, no nga, dili man, although, majority of the researchers will gamit man tag APA format, but mag-differ japon siya per university. There are others nga who would like to ask for an APA format pero dapat mag-provide ka og brief explanation of each reference, which is very tedious. Naiuban nga wala ra. No, kanang para na, no, if ang UNOR mo request siya og 7th edition ng APA format, pero ang Santa Rita 6th edition ra iya ha. So, depende sa per school, no? So, there are many conventions in referencing. Other schools would prefer this nga type of referencing. They would prefer MLA. Others would prefer Chicago. Others would prefer APA 6th edition. Others would prefer 7th, no, edition sa APA. So, ang importante lang, you know kung unsa jud nga format ang i-implement sa inyong school, no, or sa inyong thesis advisor. So, for example, Santa Rita, ilahang i-suggest is, 6th edition lang ha. Nya, pag transfer ni mo og laing eskwelahan, 7th edition na pud ilang gusto. Nya, imo siyang insist nga 6th edition man to kung naandan. Nya, mo kay mahimo kay mo man na ang standard sa uban nga school. So follow lang ta. No, mga standards or mga formats referencing varies from every school, university, country, or even subject area. Katong class nga kanang usa sa mga sources kay kuan siya, nag-conduct siya og kanang master's thesis niya sa kuan siya kanang Japanese niya. Magani English magani kay English to iyang kanang research paper. Lahi ang iyang format pagplastada sa iyang research paper compare sa ako pero kuan naman class same naman og content, lain lang ang placement magsagol-sagol. Nagatoy kas aga ni class ka. Nag-confuse ang mga bata kay tingala sila sa ako no nga section mo kuno ni ang plastada no introduction, statement of the problem, definition of terms, significance of the study. Nya ang katukuno sa lain nga teacher lahi pug kuno ihang format no kay lahi man ang per subject area. Yung format kuno is nauna ang kuan nasa ulahi ang statement of the problem. Nya which is ay ko nga dili mo pwede mo duol sa ako kay di man mo under nako no nya lahi man ang format ni teacher A og nako no. So kato lang follow lang siyang format. Dili ko ka correct ana, di ko ka usab kay tungod lahi man ang format nga yang gihatag og ang format pud nako. I am following unsa ang format ni Yunoar, he is following unsa ang format pud sa ihang naandan dito no. So same po na class no. Kana para sa tamong panel nga nangutan na siya nga lahi ko no ang pagplaster nako sa RRL no kay ang mga bata arrange ako sila according to theme no or according to variables. Then sa katong lain nga teacher ang iha isang traditional which is the foreign and local nga mga studies no. Foreign literature gilahi niya ang foreign studies, lahi po ang foreign literature, lahi po ang local studies, lahi po ang local literature, which is very traditional na kay siya. Ito na ako nga, we are just adapting to the recent and to the upgraded na siya nga nga format. So, lain-lain man may o format. No, so, mo na siya. No, so, ay mo ka-confuse ba? Tingala mo, lahi lagi iya ha, ma'am niya. Kani, lahi pod ang sa lain pod nga teacher. Again, referencing varies or even the format varies from subject area, country, and university. Ang importante lang is kung unsa ang gi-assign sa inyo ha, sa inyong advisor or sa inyong panel, mo na po na inyong i-follow. Di mo next slide. Okay, so where do we get guidance from referencing? No? So, daghan man, no? You can ask your teacher, your subject teacher sa research nga subject or your thesis advisor, no? Or you can also get guidance from software guides such as RefWorks and EndNote. You can also ask guidance from the library, no, from books or even from the websites that you have read. Ang akong i-advise lang is when you open articles using Sci-Hub, mo na siya ang saktong referencing sa ako ano. So you'll be using APA format. And even sa articles that you have read, hindi na ka mukuhag idea. So kato ko na when I was asked to make an RRL, ginan ko nila nga, please follow the APA format, ma'am. Nya, di mo na ingon nga ihungit sa mo. So akong ibot is nag-Google ko. Imo to kong gi-apply. Not only that, nag-kuan pog ko, nagbase pog ko sa mga research work no sa mga previous nga researchers katong nauna sa ako para kaget ko kakakog idea nga so, saan man ako ni pag-referencing unsaon ang APA format so yung ani di ay ni siya. No, so again, dili ta kasulat no if wala po taga-basa class. The more we read, the more we explore, the more we understand and the more ta nga mo kanang mukabalon saon pagkuan kanang pag-reference o saon pag-format. So dili lang ta magsalig kung unsa ihungit po ni teacher no. You have to do your own research po because that is research no that is what our subject is all about no. So mark independent man na siya nga nga study. Kay unsa ang requirements even if class mag-differ ang format and ang style sa pag-referencing nato depende sa school or depende sa subject area or per country but they share the same conventions. Meaning masking APA pa na MLA or Chicago class tanan ga-acknowledge within the text, tanan ga-cite no. Matag citation kanang na I name sa author followed by the year published. So even if mo gamit kog APA, MLA or Chicago nga type of referencing class, no, pero tanan sila ga-acknowledge sila within the text. They always use citations. Kato kung ipakita no katong sa introduction nga na jam kade, katong names author and then year published. And they acknowledge closely as possible to the point. They also include all sources referred to in a list at the end of your essay or your academic paper. Katong reference list nga nakita niyo sa katong paper na ko class, na naman to sa end part sa akong paper. Dili ta mo butang og reference list after the RRL ha. Kay mo na ang mistake kalabanan sa mga estudyante nga mo submit na ko silang research paper no nya. Kung ngano ibutang man jud yung reference list after sa RRL. Dayon followed by chapter 2. Your RRL should be after chapter 2. Like for example, ang pinakalitas nga chapter while working on chapter 3 is chapter 2. Then place your reference list after chapter 2. Do not place your reference list after the RRL. Just because you're trying to reference the entire collection of researches found in your RRL doesn't mean nga itupad ninyo sila jud no. Kuha na ni citation na it is already reflected in your citation in your reference list lang na sa last part. Okay? Include all sources. Ana, this list is usually called a reference list. So, muna to na kung ipakita ninyo. And you have to arrange them alphabetically. Hindi kay, muna kung una gigamit. So, muna sa pinakatubangan. Letter Z ang name, last name's author. Arrange them according to the last name's author class ha. For example, John Smith ang name sa author. Smith, comma, J, and then nanay parenthesis dira year published. So, kano sa man na siya gi-published online. O kung nakabutan dira 2015, wala na nga tayo butan yun dira sa yung reference list. Again, let's go back to what I have discussed last time sa conducting your literature review. As much as possible, our references should be at least 5 years no, from our present date. So, if 2020 tayo, masing 2015, 2016, kana lang class nga naman, kay ang information ga-evolve siya. All data may not be relevant na sa karon nga time, no? Kay ga-evolve man ang kan class, no, kanang kada adlaw na ma-produce nga research paper. So, ang katong mga outdated na nga information, di na to siya applicable, di na to siya relevant. Kaya ma'am, lisod abi kay ko ang topic ma'am no. Mo ni ang may problema pud sa uban labi na ang ilahang title is very uncommon kanang nag-conduct sila og research nga wala jud daghan kaayo nga mga sources no kay bag-o siya nga research topic. So I will allow references nga mga 2000, 2002 to 20 basta please ayaw lang jud mo kuha references from 1990, 1997, 1998 kay outdated na siya class no. Not unless if you're going to get a theory, no? Para sa anang management theory, pwede man na siya maski mga 1990s kinawi ubang mga theory class nga bahalag karaan na siya class magamit ra man siya until karon. That is for theory. Ha, lahi ang theory sa research paper. Pero kana mga research paper nga gibasa nimo sa academic journal, nya 2005 or mga 1995 pa na siya gi-publish, palihog ta dili ta na to na siya kwaon. Ha? Kay outdated na siya nga information. No? Labi na kanang mo discuss siya tapos wala pa kay evidence of technology and all, kay karaan lagi kaayo, di. Samot dili rin siya applicable. Applicable ra ang mga karaan, like mga 1990s, if you're going to get theories for your theoretical framework. But for your RRL, as much as possible, recent data. Okay, sometimes we call a reference list as list of works consulted or bibliography. Again, di ba, ang difference sa bibliography class, ning basa ra ka sa ihang article pero wala jud mo siya gi-copy word for word. Magnikuha kag idea dito, then imuha rang gi-rephrase based on your own understanding sa article. So that is called list of works consulted or bibliography. Ang reference list, i-kopya dyan mo siya word for word. They include sa imong introduction, RRL, and theoretical framework. Mao na siya ang reference list class. Okay, am I understood? Okay, please include all details about the sources in your list, such as the name of the author, no, last name, yung initials, date published, name of the article, if applicable or naa ang name sa journal, i-apply na to ang name sa journal, kanang Journal of Tourism and Hospitality, ang mga example. And link. No? So, kung libro siya, ma-apply na lang ang publisher, asa siya gi-published, kung siya, no, dili siya e-source. No? Wala, dili siya source from the internet. Pero kung from the internet, link lang ibutang. Okay, naming the list. Works consulted or referred to, works on topic but not necessarily consulted, or need both. If you're going to conduct works consulted or referred to, please provide a list of works consulted. If referred, like for example, gi-copy nimo, that's referred ha. Ang consulted, kanang mobasa ka, unya, wala nimo siya gi-copy, kuha kag idea dito, imong isulat sa imuhang article. Pero ang referred to, para sa reference list, kay copy nimo siya word for word, dayon imong gi-paste sa imuhang article. Balik-balikon ako ni siya, no, kay naiuban, wala pun kasabot unsa ang reference list. Okay, works on topic but not necessarily consulted. Bibliography. So, for example, moto siya, basa ka, pagbasa nimo, wala man nimo siya gi-consult class, kay wala man siya nimo gikuha jud sa actual jud nga word for word. Igo ra jud ka kanang murag, uy, I went to the library, ning basa ko aning libro ni Kuan, ay, ni John Smith niya. Ginahan ko sa katong iyang pag-explain sa Kuan, kanang, sa tawag ni, behavior theory. So, ni retain na sa akong utok niyan, ako siyang isulat sa akong Kuan, article. Okay? So, acknowledging sources is called citing or referencing. A citation or reference in the text is where you refer to an author. Para sa itong gihimo na to kay Jam Gade, no, nga para ma-identify sa mga reader nga dili ni work nako, no, kuha na ko sa work ni Jam Gade, buta na to ang name sa author and iyahang date published. It may be in a form of a direct quote or a summary or paraphrase of an author. Whenever referring to an author, explain his or her position and your critique comment on it. Let's now proceed to quotations. Ang citation, katulad kong ipakita ninyo, names author enclosed in a parenthesis with the year published. But a quotation is using exact words and then magbutang taog. Duha ka quotation mark. We don't do quotations in academic paper, such as a research paper class. But you can do quotations if, for example, you're going to make a thought paper or a reaction paper and then mangayo ka og ka ng mga kuan lang, ng mga sources sa uban to support your article or your idea. Pwede ta mo gamit og quotations. So use them to support or illustrate your argument. Please avoid lengthy or frequent quotations. That is why when we do quotations class, we will just get a phrase or kung natiputon gamay nga part and then sumpay na to ang katong nasa ubos o dot lang tagtulo ka book para isumpay to siya kay kumukot mo comment quotations kud ka sapat kopyahon nimo tanan, di ba? Unya na may tendency class nga gamay ra first sentence ra kung kwaon diri sa first paragraph, ma'am, dayon ang last sentence sa katong nga paragraph pud akong ikon niya i-combine ra ta nako sila. So how will I do that? So first line nya kung asa na kutob imong kwaon, followed by 3 dots, and then i-combine nimo ang katong last line tong gusto nimo i-add. No, to indicate nga naa siya giputol or naa kay giputol nga middle nga mga lines no para i-connect ang first o ang third line. Kay para to indicate nga kuan no nga na siya complete thought jud pero giputol lang nimo siya. Okay, use the exact spelling and punctuation from the source even if it is wrong. That is true, no? Even if the spelling is wrong, no, kaya di man to pwede usbon ang gisulat ni author. Siguro, that is, na, technical error na guro na siya, no, na typo na guro na siya. So, for example, pag sulat ni mo, class, unya, sayo po yung spelling sa wrong, o, para sa ni R-O-N-G, kulang siya W. Pwede na mong butang taong side comment in a bracket to correct the spelling but never change the original word. Kaya kung usbunan ni mo na class, dili na siya pwede. No? So, kuha na siya. Kopyahan na po, halag wrong spelling siya. Nya, butang nakagduha ka bracket dire, butang nimo ang correct spelling sa kilid. Para to indicate nga, imong gi-correct siya or ni-add kag side comment. Quotes are not included in your word count. Again, not only quotes but some references nga imong gikuha from other sources are not included in your word count. Even if you have conducted at least a 264-page nga paper, unya, kana sa imong page class kay kalaban na like 30% of that are from other sources. Dili na siya pwede na to iihap sa word count. O bitaw maghimutag abstract paper class. Unya ilang word count is 7,000 abi. Unya wala na ilabot sa katoy mong mga gipangkuha from other sources or quotation. Di na siya apilon og ihap. Ihapon na imuha ra nga words nga from your own ideas. Okay. In short quotations, natay in quotation marks, an acknowledgement is included in the sentence. Parehas ani no, according to Brown, that is the name of the author, 2008 year published, comma, students who are, then exact words author, open to new ideas are more likely to succeed at tertiary studies. Pwede po ta, itong usbon, students who are, so pwede man ta pag-paraphrase class mo, butang tag according to Brown, para putanin mo, according ani nga author. Or pwede po, di ka mo butag according to Brown, ibutang nimo ang katong iyahang gisulat, and then quotation mark, and then dili na ibutang katong para sa citation no nga name sa author enclosed in a parenthesis. If you're going to have longer quotations, dili na siya pareha sa short quotations class nga magbutang taog quotation mark, pero instead, i-separate siya into 4 or 3 lines in a separate nga paragraph. So separate siya from essay by 2 lines and is usually single space. For the readers to identify that quotation na siya, di ba sa research paper, unsa gyud itong format? Double space, no? Kung mag-quotation siya class, i-indent siya, mas gamay siya, press ani, and then single space siya, mag-press sa abstract. So, indent 10 spaces from the left, para di siya mutupong sa original article, original nga paragraph. Walay quotation marks if longer quotations atong gamiton ha. For example, tibok paragraph akong i-quote tani ma'am. Di lang kumukuha gamay nga words. Tibok nga paragraph. So, you will apply longer quotations. So, it will be introduced by a colon at the end of a quote, leave space, and give reference in brackets. I'll give you an example of longer quotations. First, aning gisulti sa World Health Organization. So, kani siya class, kaning natupong ra, mo ni siya ang ang original nimo nga idea. So, according to the World Health Organization or the World Health Organization defines it as using colon. So, kaning the state of being in which an individual or group of individuals are being able to function without feeling unwell or either physically or mentally is the direct quotation from the actual source. So, mo ni siya class, nag-indent siya 10 spaces from the actual nga paragraph. Mo ni siya ang original ni mga gisulat. Mo ni ang kanang quotation from World Health Organization, meaning ihang exact words gi-copy ra nimo. Indent ka og 10 spaces, double space dayon as mo kag colon double space ka, then the entire article is single space. Kita naman dira no. Asa to ibutang ang reference ma'am? Same sa itong gibuhat sa second nga short quotation, i-enclose ra sa parenthesis. Okay, omissions from quotations. Mato kung gisulti kanina class no nga, what if i-merge na ko ang first paragraph ma'am og ang no, first sentence og ang last sentence ma'am sa usa ka paragraph. Di na ko kopyahon tanan. So, if you would like to leave out words in the quote, we can also do that in quotations. So, pwede tayo gamit og 3 dots with a space at the either end. Like for example, kuha ko ang first sentence such as plagiarism is an act of misrepresenting as one's own original work and ideas, interpretations, words, or creative works of another. Giputol na ko siya dira. So, dot, period, then tulo ka dots, space, dayon, isum pa rin to ang last sentence, which is, these ideas, interpretations, words, or works may be found in print and or electronic media. So, gimerge nimo ang first sentence and last sentence of the paragraph. The 3 dots indicate that naa kay giputol or giomit from the original paragraph nga between ani nila. Okay? Ma'am, how about additions to quotations? Di ba katawag ingon niyo nga, what if wrong spelling siya, ma'am, or na ako'y further i-comment ani nga article. Pero di man ako pwede iilis, ma'am, kay I would be committing plagiarism, no? Or copyright infringement. Unsa man akong buhaton. So, use a bracket, no? We call that one as the inside the quote. So, this shows your comment or explanation or imuha siyang i-correct ang spelling. For example, nasayop. Na may kabantay mo naman yung mga interview sa magazines class niya, na yung mga bracket-bracket dira sa kanang mga paragraph, na may times class nga, mag-interview abi ta og celebrity or mag-interview ta og tao unya. Pag interview na to, kanang ilang sentence structure, ang ilang grammar kay dili abi mao nya. Nya, dili man to pwede ilis-ilisan. No, ang ilang gisulti kay mo man jud ang ilang gisulti jud. So, to improve lang or to correct ang ilang mga sayop nga gisulti, butang na tag bracket. Para sa nagud sa research paper, mukuha ka og article abi kani. Dayon, nasayop siya og spelling sa electronic media. Nya, ginhanta nimo siya i-correct para free from errors ang imong paper. Pero di man nimo siya pwede ilisan kay di man ni imong idea, nagkopya ra man ka sa uban. So magbutang ra kag bracket sa iyang tupad kung asa na sayop ang spelling, i-correct nimo ang spelling then in-enclose na pud sa bracket. Mo gamit ta og mo gamit ta og parenthesis for kuan ra siya class. Mo gamit og parenthesis for authors pero ang bracket is for in-text nga quotation or kuan mo correct ta sa mga wrong spelling or mohatag ta og comment or explanation. Use of italics indicates your emphasis of words. Example of square bracket. So mo ni, disparate expectations of language contribute to misunderstanding, and then kuan man siya, grammatically incorrect, we need to provide which not to connect language and contribute. So butang ta og bracket between language and contribute, signify nga nagbutang ta og additional nga word to correct the grammar. So man na siya. Sabtan ra. Kay adding emphasis. So for example, no, magbutang ta og italics pod no to also improve, no, or dili lang sa bracket class i-correct na to ang spelling. We can also correct a spelling of a word or emphasize. If, for example, you would like to emphasize the word math anxiety because that is commonly used in your study kay you are conducting a study on math anxiety class no nya. Ginani mo siya i-emphasize para maka-caught ang attention sa reader. Pwede mo i-italicize. Dili i-bold ha. For example, ako ang i-emphasize unta pod ma'am ang meisterism kay para at least it can also get the attention of my reader. Do not ayaw i-bold. So do not ayaw i-bold ang meisterism. If you want to emphasize the word meisterism, i-italicize na siya, pero ayaw i-bold. Okay, quotations within a quotation. Ma'am, what if double quote ko? So, saan man ito na siya? Okay, you can use of single quote marks inside the existing quote. No, so, for example, si author, nag-quote po, isa pa ikaw. mukuha ka sa idea sa lain nga author. Pero kani nga author, nag-quote pud siya og lain nga tawo. So ikatulo na ka nga mo quote, no? So sa mga buhaton. So double quote kato yung author nga imong gikuan sa source, and then ang katuyang gi-quote class tangtangan nimo og usa ka quotation mark. So usa na lang ka quote iya ha. Okay? So ang inside of the existing quote is single quotation mark ra. So again, oh, according to the reporter, when I interviewed the quarterback, he said, played a better game. So, kaning played a better game, ang katotong ihang gi-interview ko, no? So, ikaw, nag-quote mo ka sa reporter, na nag-interview po sa quarterback. So, sa imong buhaton, i-quote mo ang katong reporter, double quotation mark. Ang katuyang gi-quote nga tawo, single quotation mark. Okay, so since 1 hour and 30 minutes ito na overtime na ta. Next nga video will be summarizing and paraphrasing na. So, this is quite common in doing our literature review. We paraphrase to indicate nga wala na to siya gi-copy word for word, gi-rephrase na to siya to also indicate nga i-acknowledge na to nga dili na to ang idea. Like, for example, instead of saying national reports have detailed a serious shortage of artists, imo na i-copy word for word, pwede ka musulti nga, according to the national reports, there has been a serious shortage of artists. No? So, muna na siya ang example. I-paraphrase mo siya. According to the study of, instead of Brown's, it was stated in the study that, naabi ang original, or Malibutang ano, according to the study of Brown, he stated that, i-rephrase lang nimo siya or i-summarize. So, napay times class nga taas kayo ang article and imo siyang i-shorten. So, ato siyang i-summarize and i-paraphrase. So, just get the idea of the author, imo na siyang i-rephrase class. I-shorten na nimo siya or i-capsulize. Okay, so asa na ta? Nata sa 23, layo pa siya sa actual nga kon. O sige lang. So, next video will be kuan na pod, paraphrasing and summarizing. Kana pa tay footnotes. Sige. Okay, so thank you so much everyone for listening. So, second nga video will be probably this weekend na lang, no? So, in my absence, since I will be preparing for my final defense, I will be preparing a pre-recorded video for you to watch, no? So, if di ko kaklase, kaya na ako prior nga commitment, ato lang i-upload sa YouTube para makalantaw mo. Okay, so thank you so much everyone. Goodbye.